Today, I've made a compilation of 35 minutes of car facts you probably didn't know. Let's not waste any time. Thank you to my channel members. Subscribe to become part of the 10% of people that are subscribed. I call them my followers. And let's dive in. There are seven versions of the Boxville truck. The Humane Labs Boxville, which is used during one of the preps for the Humane Labs raid as an escape vehicle, purchasable on Warstock Cash and Carry. The Post-Op Boxville, seen during one setup mission for the Pacific Standard heist, also purchasable on Warstock Cash and Carry. The Los Santos Department of Water and Power Boxville, seen during random side missions and can sometimes spawn around the docks. The Go Postal Boxville, which is also used for various side missions and whatnot. The Los Santos Department of Sanitation Boxville, also used for side missions. The Taco Truck also uses the Boxville as a base model, but modifies it slightly to transform it into a food truck, of course. So technically that is another Boxville. And the Armored Boxville, which was added as part of Import-Export. A pretty cool truck for a decent amount of money though. There was also a Noose version of the Boxville which never made it to the final version of the game, used only for 2-star wanted levels. It would have 2 shooters in the back who would of course shoot at the player. Would have been pretty cool to see, but unfortunately it never made it. The truck was also in GTA Chinatown Wars and GTA 4. It also appeared in the September 2022 leaks of GTA 6, driving around in its Go Postal livery, so it'll be exciting to see the truck be in the modern trilogy of GTA games. While most cars that are driven by NPCs spawn without window tint, there are some models that will always have it. Like the Granger, for example. The Dubsta is another one as well, the Rancher, and the Stretch Limousine, to name a few, although the Limousine is kind of expected to have tint because, well, it is a limo. The Esperanto, Roman's taxi cab from GTA 4, isn't in GTA 5, but it kinda is. The Esperanto is in GTA 5, but only as a cop car up in North Yankton, and you cannot see it or drive it anywhere else other than North Yankton. Of course, if you use mods, you could get it, but if you don't have mods, you can only get it in North Yankton. It can be seen during the prologue and doesn't have a civilian version. The Contender from GTA 4 also isn't in GTA 5, but it also kinda is. Well, there is actually a truck called the Contender in GTA 5, but it isn't the same truck from GTA 4. It's a new model entirely. But the Contender from GTA 4 is used for service trucks that can sometimes spawn around the map. Basically just the cab is used, and there is no civilian version of the model that was in GTA 4 in GTA 5. But there technically is a Contender, it's just not the same truck. The Jester and the Jester Classic make no sense. The Jester is based off of the 2nd gen Acura NSX, and the Jester Classic is based off of the Mark IV Supra. The Jester Classic should actually in theory be the 1st generation Acura NSX, which would be pretty cool to have. There are actually a good amount of examples like this, like the ZR350, which is based off of the Mazda FD RX-7, and the ZR380, which is based off of the Nissan 350Z. That example is actually quite bad compared to the first, as the cars are based off of entirely different models and makes. The Bravado Buffalo, which is of course a Bravado brand vehicle, is perfectly fine. But upon closer inspection, it actually has vapid floor mats. This of course makes no sense, as Bravado is Dodge in-game and vapid is supposed to imitate Ford vehicles, so why are there vapid floor mats in a Bravado vehicle? Quite odd, and something you definitely didn't know. I mean, who pays attention to floor mats? This guy right here. On the Ruiner 2000, you can see the rockets mounted on the front bumper deplete as you are actively using them, which is some nice attention to detail, I will say. If you go over some bumps that are big enough and hold the gas and brakes at the same time, you can do what is known in GTA 5 as brake boosting, which of course gives you a small burst of speed. This was actually heavily utilized by speedrunners in GTA 5 story mode, as there are many bumps along streets that you have to drive on, so the speedrunners would learn these bumps, learn where they were, and use them to get a better time, and perfect them, and use them to their advantage, of course. I know this video is about cars, but one helicopter fact wouldn't hurt. The police helicopter is named the Police Maverick, even though the regular Maverick is an entirely different looking model. The regular Maverick is more bulky with 2 propellers, and the Police Maverick is noticeably skinnier with 3 propellers. In the beta version of GTA 5, there was actually a Police Maverick that utilized the bulkier model, but this version never made it to the finalized game. So maybe the name thing was kind of a change that they never ended up changing from the beta version to the final game, but who knows. On the Zentorno, the quad exhaust option really only has 3 active exhausts. This can be seen when the vehicle backfires or when you're shooting flames or whatever, and there are only 3 exhausts exuding flames while 1 does not. And now that I see this actually pisses me off every single time I drive the Zentorno. On the Yuga Classic 4x4, you can add additional lights on top of the van, which is pretty normal and standard, I would say, but because the Yuga has such a tiny front end and it doesn't go very far out, the lights will actually directly flash onto the hood, which cannot be safe, I will say. The Sabre Turbo is the only naturally spawning vehicle in-game to have a chance to have chrome already on it. This is especially notable because in the early days of GTA Online, chrome was a somewhat rare color, having to complete and win 50 races in GTA Online, which of course, races were much more active, they were a much bigger thing than they are now. So having to win 50 is kind of a big deal still today. Have you ever stolen a car and gone to take it to the custom shop only for it to say this vehicle is too hot to modify and wondered what it was? Well, this is a feature of older times, as when GTA Online first came out, they of course made it to where you can steal and keep most NPC cars on the road. However, some of these cars were too good to keep at the time. I mean, if you think about it, if you stole an Infernus, that was like a $400,000 car back then, which was a lot of money back in 2013. I mean, that was some serious cash. They didn't want players to have good cars off the rip, so they made it to where you had to buy the better cars, and that feature is still active today. The Contender has a front windshield that is slightly bullet resistant. What's odd is that the other windows are not resistant to bullets in any way, just the front, which I guess is mainly where you're going to get shot from. You're not really going to get shot from the sides. If you're chasing someone, they're going to shoot your windshield, so I guess it is useful, but a little bit odd. The Patriot's hood opens up inverted, which is common on big rigs, but not civilian vehicles. I imagine they did this because this car is based off of the Hummer H2, which is of course a very large vehicle with a very large engine bay. Mounting it via the front grille gives you more space to work on your truck, and it's nice that Rockstar paid some nice attention to detail here, and did the same thing. Shout out if you have a Hummer, man. These are really cool trucks. The GP1 has extremely odd seats. It's almost like a bench with seats carved into it. They're not actually seats that are alone, you know, on their lonesome. It's like literally a bench with seats carved into it. It sucks because the rest of the interior is actually pretty good, but the seats are absolutely absurd looking. Like, I don't think I've ever seen any seats like this in any car, GTA Online, or real life. Whenever you exit your garage in a car, it gives you a loading screen and kind of just plops you outside right now. But it once actually played a cutscene of you driving out of your garage long ago. This was likely removed as players would just wait for you to leave your garage and you would be stuck in the loading screen, unable to do anything, unable to defend yourself, and then they would probably blow you up or something, but this has long been removed. In the mission Housekeeping of Casino Work, the Duggins steal the Thrax and it gets damaged, so you have to fix it at LS Customs. But if it gets damaged multiple times, you can actually go back and fix it, of course, but you can modify it by changing the color and the livery, which you're not supposed to do, obviously. The vehicle is supposed to have that kind of red-orange color, but you can add a livery, you can change the color, and Miss Baker will take it, no problem. The Italy GTO Stinger TT has a front end that looks very happy. Kind of like those animes where the smiles are over-exaggerated or something, but now that I see it, I can't not unsee it. Using the bulldozer, you can actually pick up rocks and place them in the back of a truck bed to live out your inner farm simulator self. That is, of course, if your truck can handle the immense weight in the back, which my truck barely can, as you can see right here. When you start up the Buffalo EVX, it plays a fake engine startup sound. This is obviously to imitate the real-life Charger EV that also plays fake engine sounds whenever you rev it or whenever you start it up. This was a big gimmick and this car failed miserably in real life, so much so that they're just going to put the Hemi in it after all, which is cool to see, but why even make an EV to begin with? This was pretty easy to see, but let me stop myself. Let's move on. Sometimes when you are AFK for long enough, you will hear a car in the background speeding. This car uses the same audio track as the Feltzer. It's rumored, however, to be a special version of the Feltzer that never released. This audio track can still be heard in director mode with NPCs and traffic turned off, which is quite eerie as well, because obviously if traffic and NPCs are off, then who's making the noise in that car? It kind of just signifies that there's always someone out there while you're always doing something, makes the city feel more alive. Whenever I hear this sound, it's time to realize that it's late and get off for the day or night. The car that can be heard in the background during the loading screen of GTA 5 is actually the Carbon Azar. Some think it's the Feltzer, but the Feltzer has a deeper rumble, at least to me. The Carbon Azar sounds slightly more peaky and high-pitched overall. The pedals in older cars are actually just PNGs of pedals and not actual pedals. They didn't even cut them out fully. You can still see the black edges of the image. But granted, first person wasn't a thing back then. The Tulip M100 has an option to add twin turbos to the front, but when you open the hood, there are no turbos to be seen. Perhaps they are ghost turbos, or maybe if you imagine it enough, they are indeed there, but when you pop the hood, there's nothing there. They're only on the front, so they must be imaginary turbos. When Rockstar added cop cars available to us to purchase, they initially only allowed you to turn the lights on and off with the siren blaring, but sometime after, they added the ability to allow the lights to remain stagnant. This was greatly appreciated as someone who roleplays from time to time and doesn't want to blare the sirens on a traffic stop. You can just keep the sirens on, keep things legit without all the noise. When Rockstar first added the cop cars, they intentionally made it so the resale value of the cop cars are 0. They do tell you this in the description before buying the vehicle, but I mean, who reads the description? I mean, I guess some people do, but I don't. They also probably did this because of duplication glitches. Fully modded cop cars could cost up to $6 million if you're using like the Gauntlet or the Coquette. I mean, these can be really expensive, and at that point the duplicated variant would sell for like 3 million, so that obviously will not be good for Rockstar. But it kind of sucks that everybody who doesn't do duplication glitches also has to pay the price for it. There was a police cruiser in the early versions of GTA 5 that more closely resembled the Stanier in game. The Stanier is based off of the Ford Crown Victoria, at least primarily, and this cruiser never made it to the final version of GTA 5, and the generic police cruiser took its place. It sucks because I actually kind of think that this design looks better, but let me know what you think. You can make your own sled by stealing a truck with a trailer attached to it, blowing it up, and controlling the trailer via minigun. It actually works quite well, but just not very fast. But I mean, you're not trying to be fast in this thing. Or are you? Your vehicle will never spawn in the direction you are looking. You can use this to manipulate it to spawn closer to you by running in the direction you want the vehicle to spawn in, looking down while doing so, and the car will spawn pretty close to you as a result. A neat trick I use to get my car a little bit quicker. The rear license plate on the Journey is crunched up in a weird way. I thought it might have just been the dirty version of the Journey, but the clean version also has the same weird issue. It doesn't even look damaged. It literally looks like the license plate numbers can't fit on the actual plate, which is quite odd. Pretty sure Rockstar thought that no one would ever pay attention to this, but I did. There was a wrecked Ruiner car model that can be found in the various scrapyards across San Andreas. This model is obviously completely inoperable, but in the files there actually is the same car model that can drive. It looks extremely odd to see, and the only way to see this for yourself is to have a modder spawn it in, but it is really odd that Rockstar even made this a drivable model to begin with. In GTA 5 there are 5 cars that have both a rusty variant and a clean variant that can be found across the map. The Emperor, the Rebel, the Surfer, the Tornado, and the Voodoo. These once again are cars that have both a clean variant and a rusty variant, and you can find both on the map naturally. You do not have to buy these. If you ever buy a seasonal vehicle and then sell it at a later time for whatever reason you may have, you will always be able to buy it back no matter what time of year it is. Of course, you will only have one more year for this because GTA 6 supposedly releases in 2026, but now you have one more year to use it, so use it wisely. Every cop car will come standard with San Andreas exempt license plates. You cannot change these plates unless you mod the car or glitch it in some way. Exempt plates obviously signify a government official vehicle, so that's why they are on there. One motorcycle fact surely wouldn't hurt. The Defiler has probably the smallest attachments known to man. Firstly, the license plate, it's so tiny you could barely read it past like 5 feet. I mean, this thing is like a little kid license plate for like one of those little tight cars. The gauges are also extremely small and hard to see. The bike itself is pretty small as well, so Rockstar probably accommodated that, but the result is not at all pretty, I will say. This thing is so tiny, everything on it is tiny, but don't clip that. I'm sure most people, especially new players, know the Turismo as a car that released as part of the High Life update back in 2014 or 2013, and it is a pretty decent car. Right now nobody really drives it, but whatever. But the Turismo was also in GTA 4, but it was based on an older Ferrari model at the time. Probably the Ferrari 360 is what I'm gathering the most from it. So it's weird that they chose to add the Turismo that we have in GTA 5, but not the Turismo from GTA 4. If anything, the Turismo Classic should have been the one in GTA 4, but the Turismo Classic in GTA 5 is actually a different Ferrari. It's the Ferrari F40, so it's a really big, jumble, messed up car structure. Which I kind of talked about earlier. The Stinger TT, as we know it now, used to have a different name. It used to be called the Italy GTO Stinger TT, and if it had HSW, then it would be called the Italy GTO Stinger TT HSW. But I guess Rockstar thought that name was too long, or maybe, you know, they had some other reason, which is completely fair, so they shortened the name to the Stinger TT when Money Fronts came out. You cannot traditionally change the color of stock wheels on your car, but if the car you want is available at any of the dealerships, sometimes they will come with colored stock wheels. I don't know why Rockstar doesn't let us just change it ourselves, but whatever. If you go in first person inside the Insurgent, you can see that there are 2 speedometers. Why you will need 2 exactly? I have no idea. If you go in first person inside the stockade, it also has 2 speedometers. Maybe it's just for big trucks or something? When you're going really fast in a car or on a bike and you throw a C4, for some reason you turn into prime Tom Brady and are able to chuck the C4 hundreds of feet away. In GTA 4, there were 56 cars that later came to GTA 5 Online, and they are as follows: the Banshee, Comet, Infernus, Sultan RS, Cognoscenti, Dilettante, Emperor, Ingot, Intruder, Oracle, Premier, Primo, Romero, Stratum, Stretch, Sultan, Washington, Dukes, Faction, Manana, Peyote, Ruiner, Saber GT, Stallion, Vigero, Virgo, Voodoo, Blista Compact, Fudo, Burrito, Cavalcade, Habanero, Landstalker, Minivan, Moonbeam, Patriot, Pony, Speedo, Fagio, PCJ 600, Sanchez, Zombie, Ambulance, FIB Buffalo, Fire Truck, Benson, Boxville, Forklift, Mule, Packer, Phantom, Ripley, Stockade, labeled in GTA 4 as the Sakura car, Airtug, Bus, and the Trash Master. Phew. The Sentinel GTS has a front logo that lights up with the headlights, but when you turn on the high beams, it no longer lights up for some reason. On the side of the Stockade, it says in partnership with the Bank of Liberty, and you may be wondering why. Well, the Stockade was also in GTA 4 as well, like previously mentioned, and the main bank of GTA 4 is the Bank of Liberty City, so either Rockstar just forgot to remove this or left it as a nice nod to the past. If you pop the rear hood on the Suzumi, you can see 2 battery packs. Who cares about a V12 or anything like that? We got battery packs, buddy! The secondary color on the Sentinel GTS changes the color of 4 different parts around the car: the brake calipers, 2 little pieces in the headlights, the front grille trim, and the interior stitching. Quite inconvenient because if you want only red brake calipers, you also have to have red everything else too, which is quite inconvenient. On the Everon RS, there's an option to remove the tailgate, but in the menu, you still have the option to open and close the trunk, and you can in fact hear the tailgate opening and closing. The Everon RS is also classified as an SUV for some reason. This is clearly a truck and should at least be in the off-road category or something. The Everon RS also has the option to add plastic wheel arches. If you look closely at the plastic here, it is actually very highly detailed. You can see the ridges and texture of the plastic, which is some nice attention to detail indeed, and this is what we are likely to expect in GTA 6, so it being here is quite nice. In most electric cars, you can still find a fuel gauge inside the interior, even though obviously electric cars do not need fuel, they need electricity. So maybe they should have a battery meter or something? The Pipistrello has 2 start buttons inside the interior, one on the wheel and one in the middle. So which one do you press exactly? I have no idea. If you have an old car that for some reason doesn't have yellow headlights and you would like yellow headlights, you can take it to the Arena War workshop or agency or one of those special garages and add either yellow or golden shower lights, kind of a strange name, depending on how yellow you want the headlights to look for that old school retro feel. The Tampa GT has so much torque to where if you try to wheelie, all 4 wheels will leave the ground. It's essentially impossible to do a long wheelie on this thing because the car has so much torque. It's impossible. You could try for yourself. It just won't happen. The Minimus, the new car based off of the Nissan Maxima, mind you, has a V12 underneath the hood. I wish I was recording when I first discovered this because, oh my god, I was absolutely flabbergasted when I saw a V12 under the hood of this Nissan Maxima. It's so ridiculous. I have absolutely no clue what the Rockstar dev was thinking when they added this. Maybe they were just on something good. I don't know. The rear seats in the Minimus also don't look finished at all. It's just pitch black with no stitching, no detail, no nothing. Maybe the car was rushed because with all the weird details in this thing, I wouldn't be surprised. The Hardy has a front bumper called the Boso Zoku bumper that has a splitter about 2.5 feet long. What's weird is that if you ram the front of the car into a wall or something, you can also break the headlights somehow, even though theoretically it should be impossible to break the headlights by ramming the car into a wall in this thing because it would hit the splitter before it hits the headlights, but whatever. The Woodlander also uses the same engine as the Sultan RS Classic, which does make sense as they are both Subarus or Karens made around the same time period, so engine sharing is to be expected. The Niobe, or Niobe, however you want to say it, has a cute little chime whenever you get in or get out of the car. The Western police bike is not actually classified as a motorcycle. It's classed as an emergency vehicle, which also means you wouldn't be able to use it in a motorcycle race. The Chimera has the most ridiculous license plate I've ever seen in my life. First off, it's so tiny, I don't know how an officer is expected to read this thing, but it is also sideways, meaning the officer gotta break his neck just to read a license plate, which is, of course, very nice. If a player is already in the car wash for a customer and you enter the car wash for a customer as well, it will glitch out and prematurely end the car wash in about 5 seconds. On the front fender of the Peyote, it has a badge that says V10 Supercharged. Other than being said backwards, it indeed does not have a V10, nor a supercharged V10 at that, as you can clearly see right here. The Peyote also has a custom license plate frame that says Peyote. Other cars do have this, like the Ruiner for example, but it is rare to see one regardless. The Click Wagon only sits 2 people, even though you can clearly see a back seat in there. Rockstar probably did this because it is a 2-door, and the animation for getting into a 2-door rear seat would be quite odd indeed, or non-existent. You'd probably just teleport right into the back, so unfortunately only 2 people can sit in this 4-seater. The Kalahari, a vehicle you probably have never even seen or knew existed before I just mentioned it, has the single weirdest shifter I've ever seen on an automobile, in real life, or in a game. It comes out from underneath the dashboard and sticks out like a foot. I don't even know how this would work, and there's also another stick thingy poking out right next to it, but I assume that's the parking brake or something, and I don't know how you would shift something that's horizontal. Like, do you move it up and down compared to like side to side? I have no idea. If somebody knows, please tell me in the comments, because I would actually be very curious to know. The Raptor has a tiny window at the bottom of the front of the car that isn't so much a window as it is a windscreen. You can actually tint this window as well, which is probably the single most useless window tint to ever exist, but you can do it here. The Postlude has a great steering wheel. Looks very much like the Preludes from around that time, which is great, but Dinka is slightly cut off at the bottom of the text. It was almost perfect though. I mean, this steering wheel, spitting image, but they just had to ruin it. Changing the trim color on the Postlude also changes this tiny little piece that the rear view mirror hangs from. Most people would probably never even notice this, and I had to notice it by going to first person and looking at the secondary color, but it is very nice to see. Newer cars have a higher quality rear view mirror than older cars. Still not great quality, but better than the older cars, that's for sure. Most of the cars that do have this better quality mirror as well are probably likely exports from GTA 6 that were ported to GTA 5 and then back to GTA 6 whenever that comes out. If you open your door in the way of traffic, NPCs will actually avoid your door, even if you do it while they're relatively close to your car already. The Warrener has a badge on the back that says 5-speed. Not only is this weird because I've never seen a car advertise its transmission as a badge on the outside of the car, but it is also false. This car is a gated 6-speed, as you can see right here, so not only is it weird, it is a lie. The headlights on the Coca D5 only reach about 5 feet for some reason, and then they abruptly cut off. The high beams do fix this issue, but it's weird nonetheless. If you shoot the rear battery in the Cyclone, the bullets will go right through the battery and hit the floor. What's even weirder is that it will still damage the car though. Even though the engine doesn't have any actual texture to it and doesn't have any physical property, it will still react as if you are shooting the engine, or the battery in this case, and blow up. The Obey 9F and its convertible version have quite a lot of interesting facts about them. Firstly, the black body panel on the side of the car is only on the convertible. On the coupe, the panel is body colored. The coupe also has a different spoiler option than the convertible. The convertible's is smaller and skinnier overall, while the coupe's is more beefy. The coupe also only has 1 exhaust option, while the convertible has 3 exhaust options. If you pop the hood on either variant, you can see that it also says Obey 9F very aggressively, which is certainly quite odd, but I guess cool. What's even more odd is that the front bumper has a major gap in between the front trunk area. It's not even connected to the chassis or anything, it's just mysteriously floating. A very quirky car that everybody knows about, but nobody truly knows, if you read me. When GTA 5 first came out, Rockstar more or less only made one animation for starting a car. You get in, turn the ignition, the car turns on, and then you go. But GTA Online has been out for so long at this point that most new cars now have a push to start instead of a traditional ignition switch. But the old animation of turning the key is still used on some of these new cars with a push to start, which is just chef's kiss, because why are you turning the key when there's a button right there, bro? If you ever feel like wasting $7,000, buy the barbed wire for the roof of the Pounder Custom in your nightclub. It does absolutely nothing. Even if it did, I can't say many people have tried jumping on top of my truck while I was selling nightclub goods, but you know, it's there if you want it. There's a spoiler option for the Italy GTB Custom that is called the Custom Secondary Body Wing, but it's not actually the secondary color. It's carbon fiber, and there is already an option for this exact same wing called the Custom Carbon Body Wing. So for some reason, a Rockstar dev didn't change the actual color of this spoiler to secondary, so instead you end up with two carbon fiber spoilers that are the exact same. There's an additional tachometer that you can add on select vehicles that actually has a red light indicator telling you when you should upshift. Of course, because of GTA 5's weird transmission coding, you are always kind of in the red line area for some reason, so this red light will kind of always be on whenever you're driving. The Kuruma is labeled as a Karen vehicle, which is based on Toyota, when the car is obviously based on a Mitsubishi Lancer. I initially gave Rockstar the benefit of the doubt and maybe thought that a brand for Mitsubishi hadn't yet existed when they made this car, but that isn't true. The Penumbra, based off of the Mitsubishi Eclipse, is labeled as a Maibatu brand vehicle, which came out on day 1 of GTA 5, which is of course based off of a Mitsubishi. So there was a brand for Mitsubishi at this point when the Kuruma was added, but for some reason Rockstar chose to label it under the Karen brand, which is once again Toyota, which once again makes no sense. For some reason on the Rapid GTX, they chose to have the rear taillights be illuminated from the middle and not on the sides like how literally every other car in existence is. The sides do illuminate while braking, but not by default. The lights are essentially reversed, and because of that I can't drive this car because it bugs me so much, and maybe it might bug you now too, and if it does, I am sorry. The Vivinite has two HSW liveries available at the Los Santos car meet. These liveries are only available here though, but even at regular car shops, there is still a livery tab, but the options just aren't there. I don't know why Rockstar didn't just remove the tab, but whatever. The Vector has a really prominent crackle and pop tune on it. Listen for yourself. Using the Rockstar editor, we can see that inside the interior of the APC tank, there is not the slightest bit of detail at all, just a black void with our character turning an imaginary steering wheel. The APC in GTA 5 Online is also able to go into the water, like you might know, without braking. The APC also appeared in GTA 4 The Bout of Gay Tony though, but it was not aquatic in the slightest back then, oddly enough. When it came to GTA 5 Online, Rockstar gave it the feature to be able to go into water without braking, and I thought that was pretty useful. It was useful for niche case scenarios that don't really pop up too much, but the option is there. The Super Diamond in GTA 5 only comes in a 4-door variant, but in GTA 4 there was a variant called the Super Drop Diamond that was a 2-door convertible. This car was only owned by Yusuf Amir, who we would later work with in the Chop Shop update along with his cousin many years down the road. Unfortunately, he did not bring his Super Drop Diamond with him to Los Santos. No license plate you see on any car has an expiration year. It will have an expiration month though. Rockstar probably did this because at the time up-to-date tags would be like 2014 or something, and at this point they would be expired anyway. So why make the tags up to date when eventually they would actually become expired? I don't really know. The Ocelot Stromberg has a unique one-of-one interior that can only be found on this car, probably because this is quite a unique car in general and Rockstar didn't have any interiors on hand that would fit the theme of this car, having to go underwater and whatnot, the overall styling of the car, so they made a new one instead, which is nice to see. Some vehicles like the Barrage and the Chernobog do not have an in-game automaker assigned to their name. Even other unique military vehicles like the Khanjali have an automaker tied to its name. In the Khanjali's case, that would be TMO2, and in the Insurgent's case, that would be Heavy. But for some reason the Barrage and the Chernobog are made by no one in particular. Inside the back of the Chernobog where you launch the missiles, a computer from about the 80s can be found. This thing is so old, I mean, it looks like you turn this thing on and watch Michael Jordan play back in college, but I guess we use it to launch missiles and, you know, I guess it works for that. This car truck thingy is very old, so it does fit the aesthetic, but it's kind of weird how we just launch it from like a PC from the 80s. And the screen itself is actually a mirror, not a screen. There's no actual reading on the screen or anything, it's a mirror. So that's quite odd. When you go to buy a new car, you may have noticed that you get 8 default color options for the car to come in, and then you could change it later or whatever on the website. As you can see here, there are 8 default color options. But for some reason, some cars from executives and other criminals and finance and felony came with 8 different default color options that in my opinion look a little bit better, but most of the time you're going to change them anyway, so it really doesn't matter. When you put the top either up or down on a convertible, the trunk will automatically close. I thought that because the convertible piece goes near the trunk, they close it for aesthetic reasons or something, but even on cars with a front trunk like the Comet S2 Cabrio, it will still close the trunk. So they must have just coded it together or something like that to where if you want to put the roof up or down, the trunk will automatically close, and that does kind of make sense. Inside the interior of the Viserys or the Viserys, I don't know how to say it, which is a car you also likely have never heard of before until I mentioned it just now, you can find the engine being displayed in between the two seats of the car. The timing belt on this engine also moves, which is quite interesting. I've never noticed that before, but it's cool to see such a detail. I noticed this flag emblem on the Dominator ASP one time and thought it was strange, but I carried on. I then later found out that this emblem was not exclusive to the Dominator ASP and was actually on other muscle cars as well, like the Phoenix for example. It must just be an emblem that Rockstar uses for certain muscle cars, but it is in no way tied to any specific brand in the game, which is certainly odd because you would think that maybe it would only be on Dominators or it would only be on like the Class A type cars, but no, this emblem is on just about every muscle car you can find. On the Coquette D1, you can add eyelashes to the headlights of the car. I guess if you want to go for a, I don't know, look, you can kind of have it here, although some people might make fun of you, but they're just haters. Speaking of the D1, Rockstar only recently decided to do the whole D thing with the Corvettes in GTA 5. The D1 is based on the C1 Corvette, which makes sense. The D5 is based on the C6 Corvette, which also kind of makes sense, and the D10 is based on the C8 Corvette. There are actually other Corvettes in the HD GTA universe that don't follow the D naming though, such as the Coquette from GTA 4, based on the C5 Corvette, the Coquette from GTA 5, based on the C7 Corvette, and the Coquette Classic, based on the C2 Corvette. Because Rockstar only chose to do the D naming relatively recently though, it would be hard to rename every previously existing Corvette-based car because the numbers would be off quite a bit. For example, you can't call the Coquette from GTA 4 the D5 Coquette because the D5 is already the C6 Corvette, but technically it would because the Coquette from GTA 4 is the C5 Corvette, so it would make sense to call it the D5, but that name is already taken. It's a very big jumbled up mess that they may figure out once GTA 6 is here, but currently they have not. Speaking of Coquettes, the Coquette from GTA 5 actually has rear seats even though it is only a 2-passenger vehicle. Of course, the reason is that the seats are so unbelievably small, a child probably couldn't even fit in them, but they are there nonetheless. You may have seen a Ron gas station with its gas prices somewhere nearby as well. What you didn't know is that the same gas price sign can also be found in GTA 4 as well. It seems that Rockstar thought to just reuse it here, and I can't say I'm mad at them because I've only just noticed this now, so why not? And that wasn't really a car fact, but gas, cars, you know, pretty similar, man. Come on. I think one helicopter fact wouldn't hurt anybody. The Higgins Maverick is actually a separate vehicle model than the regular Maverick. This is interesting because Rockstar could have just slapped a livery on the Maverick and called it a day, but they actually created a unique model, which hopefully we could buy in one of the updates one day. There are a couple of one-seater race cars in the game, and they have some interesting facts about them. The Benefactor LM87 has a unique one-of-one tire on the car with the Atomic sponsor by default. You cannot add this sponsor and this lettering on any other car, and it is only here by default. Once you change the wheels, this goes away. While we're down here, I should also mention both cars come with cream-colored default wheels, which is pretty cool as well. Makes them look aged and whatnot, which I'm sure is the look they're going for because these cars are obviously pretty old. Now, I usually don't do viewer facts, but I thought these next couple were pretty good, so if you got a cool fact, just comment it, and maybe I'll make it in the next video. Maybe I'll do a viewer-submitted fact segment or something like that, I don't know, but here we are. The fact is, if you put no spoiler on the Banshee GTS or a very small one, when you break off the trunk, it will appear with the stock wing that is huge and obviously not on the car, which is quite odd. Rockstar must have just coded it to be synonymous with the wing that is there by default and not update with the wing on the car, because on other cars, when you break off the trunk and it has a wing that is not the default wing, it still is normal, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have the default wing. So maybe they just kind of blacked out here, but this is quite interesting indeed, and this is the viewer that submitted it. Shout out to you. The 770 by default has 4 exhaust exits, but only 3 actually function. I greatly appreciate you for watching, and I wish you all happy holidays and a safe holiday season also. I'm also currently working on a new Carfax video, which should come out soon. I would say a couple weeks at most, but I'm sort of waiting for this mansion update to come out so I can use some of the cars that's going to add for the video. Very excited for that and to share that with you guys. Please subscribe if you did enjoy yourself here. It really does help. I never really understood when YouTubers said that it does help, but it really does. It basically tells the algorithm that this video was good enough for people to subscribe, so it recommends it to more people as a result. Thank you to my channel members, which for the month of December are as follows. Thank you to Anawack, KOIAER, Karso, Agaro, PAARTHUR, Radioactive 661, GooBirdz, and our newest channel member, CloudyRVX. I greatly appreciate you. I appreciate you all. Become a channel member today to get 2 shoutouts and your name on a license plate on one of my cars in GTA Online. I'm really excited about this upcoming mansion update, and I really hope that it'll be a good update, and from what I see so far, I think it will. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be a sort of low effort update that Rockstar kind of just put together just to send GTA Online into the next year. But I think from what we're seeing with the return of Michael, Amanda, you know, it all looks really good, really promising, and I'm very happy to see that. And that is all. Thank you once again, and please have a safe holiday season, and I'll see you all later. Have a good day, or night, or evening, and goodbye. Hey, hey, look, hey, look, hey, look. You better subscribe, because if you do not, I might cry. You better subscribe, I ran up the bands in GTA 5. You better subscribe, because if you do not, you might cry. You better subscribe, because if you don't, I might die. You better subscribe, I'm about to go crazy on the beat. You better subscribe, hey, wait for the beat to drop. Ooh, you better subscribe, hey, you better subscribe, I'm out of breath. You better subscribe,